revolutionary move to have women as part of the process. Is this just a one-off, or is it the beginning of increasing female participation?
It's definitely a process and progress and work in progress. We've had very few women in the beginning of the formation of coalitions from the opposition. We've had an increasing number. We've been pushing very, very hard to get more women into the opposition formations. In the last formation, which is designed to serve in these talks, the peace talks, the High Negotiation Committee, there is a stronger representation. We've had a 20% representation in both the committee itself as well as the negotiating team that is now discussing, that holds the talks in Geneva. And we, more importantly, have a commitment for a 30% representation.
And who is actually represented by this Syrian Women's Consultative Group? I mean, do you have religious women as well as secular women?
Absolutely, absolutely. The women there, you must also see, what you may see in terms of pictures are not always reflective of who is part of these groups for several reasons. One of them is that many of these women still have their families inside Syria, so they cannot appear on the media. There are many of the women who are conservative, who are grassroots leaders. They've come to Geneva. They were with us here. Very few of them are able to appear publicly.
Bassma, what do the women literally bring to the table?
First of all, they bring new faces, and a woman's face is clearly a refreshing image of the Syrian opposition, because it has been dominated, as you know, by military confrontation on the ground. You never see pictures of women on the ground. You only see women refugees with their children. You see the suffering through the women, and they are suffering, of course, as one can obviously see. But what these women bring here is they are able to put out an articulate discourse. They can give a clear account of real examples from the ground. So the humanitarian situation, I think, comes across and reaches the international community and the diplomatic community here in Geneva and the Special Envoy and his team in a much stronger way than when they come from with men.
Bassma, but do the men listen?
We're not talking about the men. We are talking here about conveying the message directly to the UN, first of all. And they're playing a role, a very important role in that area. And in fact, the men are also dependent on the women for these accounts. So in fact, when we have reporting from the ground, the women bring precise information that the men are very grateful for. They need it. They actually use it in their own dealings with the internationals here. So there's a real contribution on the humanitarian issues. There's also a very serious contribution on the legal and particularly on the detainees issue. The internationals are telling us the women are able to bring to us real data, but not only real data, to suggest ideas, to bring forward options for a strategy on how to deal with this very, very difficult, and perhaps the most difficult issue of the detainees in the Syrian prisons.
Finally, Bassma, for an outsider, the idea that peace is obtainable, given just how horrendous this conflict is, do you seriously believe that this group will be able to reach some sort of resolution?
It's a long way. The early stages is one where we need to discuss security issues, political power sharing arrangements. But we also know that there's no reality to any peace agreement, any compromise on paper, unless the society is involved. And the moment we start talking about reconciliation, about building trust, about implementing the peace agreements and starting the reconstruction process, that is when we need to mobilize society. In a peace situation, the moment we have even a cessation of hostilities, immediately the women are reappearing, and we know now better, and we will know even better with time, that these women have been absolutely key, critical in maintaining society inside Syria as well as in the refugee communities, and these will look forward to coming back to their homes.